Are you ready to step into a world of love and wisdom every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Lady Love with relationship coach Joan Kenyon Woods? Uncover the secrets to lasting connections and thriving relationships. Only on our network, Brand on Demand, right here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, beginning February 14th, the Love Day. Tune in, grow together. Lady Love, where hearts find their homes.
Hello again, and welcome back to Lady Love. So, the last episode seemed to have resonated with many of you. I got lots of responses to recognizing the serial daters and red flags. And so I just wanted to reprise that. Yeah, I know the dress. It looks like a little bit of a flying, right? Yeah. So send your comments. Tell me what you think. I love it. It just looks like I'm flying on wings today. So I'm gonna be on wings because when we talk about things like red flags and the dangers that they pose to a relationship, I want it to be very clear because love is wonderful. But sometimes in the first couple months, we get so drawn in and taken in by this person who seems to be giving us everything we want. And I wanted to just recap some of the red flags that I talked about before, or even just, signs of a serial dater, so that you're aware that if these things are happening, you have to be careful. You have to, take charge and be alert, right? I know when I'm flying in the wings, all of my background goes away, but I'm going with it. I'm going with it today, right? And so let's talk about, communication style. A person who doesn't communicate really well. I was talking to a friend of mine, client, and she says, communication is everything. I just hate if I, try to reach out and he's not responding. And that is one of the red flags that you need to really pay attention to. And I get it, ladies. In the first couple months of starting a relationship, it can be like this is just the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? We don't see any of the bad, we just see the good. But it's so important to pay attention to everything. Pay attention to everything. Look at, and yeah, we have a tendency to just look at all the wonderful things that are happening and not on, the things that are not so great, right? And so we think of the beginning of a relationship like, an adventure. Everything is just exciting and new, and it is. And you should enjoy all this exciting and new because that is what love is all about. How exciting and new is all of this? When you meet that person that you think is the one and you want to make everything happen and everything work. And so, I was talking to a friend of mine, she says, yeah, when we have an argument or something and I don't hear from you, this is how you can approach it. So today, for some of the things I'm going to do is tell you about how you can approach some of the red flags as they happen, right? And so for the communication problem or red flag that you see, you can approach it from always approach all of these from your own perspective. We've heard about I messages. We never want to be accusatory or causing them to feel as if they're the only ones and they're the reason for everything. So when you approach a person about not communicating the way you want, and we talked about if you have an argument, because face it, we're going to have them. And when you have them early on in a relationship, that can be a little scary, but normal, right? It's normal. And so you have this argument or whatever it is, disagreement, second, third date. and you don't hear from him for, the whole day after that argument, some of the things that you can do is approach it with, people have different boundaries about how they want to talk about things. So you want to ask, can we talk about how to address the disagreements in the future, and approach it like that? And you would say, for example, when we argue and I don't hear from you for the whole day, it makes me feel insecure and, a little worried. It worries me when you don't respond to texts or, a call that I make. And can we just discuss how we will approach disagreements in the future? And that to me is very reasonable. And if that person doesn't seem to want to work it out or address this concern that you have because you had an argument over whatever, so if they're not willing to address how do we really have these arguments, how do we have these disagreements? Because in the long years of relationship, and my story, it's been long years, there have been many disagreements, okay? Many. But it really is how we approach resolving it, and knowing that they weren't red flags. They really were just, we both were coming from a place of misunderstanding or a place of not knowing how the other person felt about whatever it is that we're disagreeing about, right? And for us, it was many things. I don't know. He used to wear white socks when we went out everywhere. Like, really? But, in my wisdom, I've discovered it's not the end of the world, right? If the pants is long enough, no one's going to see the white socks. So that's not going to be an issue right now. I'm not going to not talk to him again for a whole day because he's wearing white socks. I give an example, but it really was. He always wore white socks everywhere. And so when you come to discuss the agreement or the disagreement of lack of communication, you want to come from your perspective, the I message, how I'm feeling, unless it really is toxic, a toxic relationship, and we know the toxic red flags that we're looking out for. Anything that is abusive or violent or causes you to feel unsafe, those things are toxic, and no, you're leaving right away, or you're seeking complete help and getting out as soon as it's safe, right? So we're talking about the behaviors that you see that you want to address or work on, okay? And so things like consistency, paying attention to you when you come home and, you want to have somebody come to you and say, hi, hey, babe, how was your day? And there's nothing, right? So some things may not be complete red flags, but they are important to you. And so if they are important to you, it is a red flag, because how will think of this behavior that I'm seeing, will it be escalating and changing and growing? And how will it affect me? Can I live with a person being like this for the next 30 years? Right. And I tell you that there are many things that the person does come with being like that. And often when we begin the relationship, we probably can't imagine or figure out how to distinguish between what's a red flag and what is just, that's how they are. Well, often and importantly, as I just said, it has to be something that you do not feel that this is going to be dangerous, abusive, and continuous. Those things you're going to leave right away, right? But if it's things like this, in my real experience with my husband, wearing white socks or not wanting to dress up pretty much, right? He was an athlete in school and felt like, oh, I can be casual everywhere. But no, at a wedding, can we please wear a suit? Okay, and you go with them to buy the suit. Oh, babes, come. Oh my gosh, they have some great sales in this store, and let's go look, see what. Oh, and did you know that they are asking for us to wear blue? So let's go and see if we can find a blue suit. Something like that. You are always come from, let's go and let's see if we can. And did you, and blame it on the other people. They're asking to wear blue at the wedding. I don't know if you've seen some of the posts I've done, and we've gone to a lot of white events, wear white. And yeah, not many people have that around the house. As you can see, I wear color all the time. And so yeah, if it's a white event, we're like, let's go and find some white clothes, the shirts and the jackets, and just make it fun to go and shop for those things and not make it a problem. Like, oh my God, why do I have to wear this and that? Right? So that whole idea of being consistent, communicating your needs, really, really important, right? Sometimes I wanted to point out that we may see things that we do not think of as red flags or a problem. For instance, meeting somebody and they're showering you with all of these affection and gifts and compliment that is just overdone. Now we all want that, don't we, ladies? Yes, we do. We want that. We want affection, but proportionately. I don't think if, as the day goes on, it's constantly, well, the affection can be constant all day, but being showered with gifts, because what that is leading to often is the person manipulating the relationship so that they can manage or manipulate you to stay, even though you know that there are things that you've seen that you're not happy with. So sometimes those things that we think are fabulous, the constant giving, it reminds me of a movie that I saw, and I don't remember the name. You can probably remember and send it to me, where the man was like that. He was just absolutely astounding and astonishing and gorgeous and gave her gifts, and she was just blown away. And of course, in the movie became a narcissist. I don't know what it is. If you can find that movie, let me know what it is. Drop it to me in an email and send it to me, right? Because remember, this is a give and take. We are talking here, sisters. This is not about me, meting out great advice. Ask a question, make a comment. Please do make a comment about the dress. I'd love to know. My aunt likes it. I went to my aunt. She said she likes it, and so do I. Oh my God, doesn't it look like angel's wings? Yeah, and I'm embracing the pink, as you can see for the last couple. Yeah, embracing the pink. So sisters, this is, such a very serious and emotional and touchy subject. I wanted to just reprise everything, right? Things to look out for, because it seemed to have resonated with all of the response that I was getting. And thank you for all your responses, some of your questions. As I told you the last time, I answered this question because I got a letter from a person who said she was all in, and then the guy turned out to be what I term, or what will be termed, as a narcissist, right? He was only by himself, and he was like the example I just gave, showered her with gifts, and this is going to be what we're going to do. It's all going to be fantastic. And then nothing, right? Left her devastated. So again, I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I, remind you and remind myself of all of the things that seem to have resonated with you. And we will have more of this. Drop me a note or a comment telling me what it is that you want me to address, because I'm here for you. And one of the other things was the emotional availability. How important is that, right? That if this is your heart's guardian and he's not guarding your heart, and he's not there for you to feel like your heart is full of that love that he's really giving from his heart, how devastating is that, right? So not being emotionally available is such a big one. You can't get him to open up or talk about, past hurts, past relationships, and so how you can now move together better and not create those same, I want to say mistakes, but the same kind of, you know problems or concerns that hinders a relationship. You want to know, tell me, love, what are the things that you felt were emotionally painful in your relationship? Or, I work with a couple of clients and a young lady who had been divorced twice, right? And so in our talks, she tells me about the way that both of her ex-husbands were so unavailable emotionally, right? They never let her in. They never let her know exactly, what it is that they're thinking, how they're feeling. It was just sort of come home in the corner, you do your thing, I do mine, and it just leaves you empty, doesn't it? Imagine if you're with a partner and they're not coming over and saying, babes, how's your day? Or you can't tell them how's your day. They're not concerned, or they see you upset or something and not saying, what happened? Tell me about that. You want that. We want that in a relationship, right? We want emotional, and I know one of my mentors calls it emotional nakedness. I just love that term, right? This is a distant mentor. She doesn't know she's one, but that's her term. It's not mine, but I love it, right? To be emotionally naked. How great is that? So because naked just means nothing is hidden, right? If we are naked, you see it all. You see it all, and you want to see all of the emotions from somebody, the good and the bad. You just don't want the bad to overpower, because when they do, now we know that these are extreme red flags and we should be careful. We should be alert to abuse, violence, and, extreme anger, jealousy, and those things that are causing us not to feel safe. Those are dangerous, and those are red flags where, when you can and safely, leave that relationship, right? Because those things don't change, they escalate. So we're not talking about those, right? And we're talking about the emotional nakedness when the person you're with can say, yeah, I feel hurt. Or when you say, I feel insecure, when we don't talk about having an argument for the whole day, I worry. And they say, listen, I'm sorry about that. I was stuck at work. I was busy. I saw the text. I just couldn't get to it. But let's talk now. And if that is happening in your relationship where the guy is ready to be open and emotional, that's where you go. All right. We also talked about, respect. If you observe how he treats others and you when you're around them as well, right? Is he, my husband tells a story of a friend of his. Well, it wasn't really a friend. They were colleagues, or when they played football in college and stuff. And I was just astounded at this story. He was sitting around all of them, young men, football players, and so on. And one of them had their girlfriend with them. I asked, how come I wasn't there? Anyway, so he tells me that they were in a restaurant and the young lady was getting attention from the waiter. Nothing, innocuous or rude or inappropriate, it seems. As he says, the guy wanted to get a good tip. Why not? He's given a service. And she was the only young lady amongst all these men there, right? And she asked for, I don't know, sugar or butter or something. And the waiter bought it and said, if you need anything else, let me know. And so it happened once and maybe twice. He said, can I help you? Is there anything else you need? Now, this is a waiter in a restaurant. Of course, the man is going to be giving everyone attention, and of course, the young lady, because he's thinking, I know she's with this guy or a guy, and they're going to tip me well. I'm thinking that's what he's thinking. My husband thinks that's what he's thinking. And so apparently, the boyfriend was not thinking that, because he turns to her, true story, and says, if that happens again, I will take this some instrument and I'm going to hit you with it. OMG. I mean, my husband, who was a young man then, we were young and new into the relationship, just was flabbergasted. He told me all about it, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, in front of everyone, just angry, abusive, cold. That, my dears, is an ultimate red flag. If there is no respect in public, I mean, he was threatening violence on this woman. And my husband, who's the gentleman that he is, said, yeah, whoa, like, mate, what is going on here? And the young man turned to him in a violent way and says, stay out of it. Like, oh my goodness, right? So that, my dear sisters, is extreme red flags. And if you are that young lady, I want to tell you now, as soon as it's safe, you need to get out of that relationship. Seek help, talk to friends and family and people who are seeing from the outside that kind of thing that's happening. Because sometimes when we're in there, we think that's just how the person is, right? He's an athlete and all that stuff. But no, again, I remember also, and I'm picking on football players today, but at the end or during the Super Bowl, I don't know if we all saw that, but one of the players was like that in the coach's face. And another mentor of mine wrote a whole article about that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry for that girlfriend, but I dare say he's probably very different with her. I don't know. But in the midst of the game, again, I consulted my husband. He plays football and he says, no, it's about winning then. It's like, coach, put me in. Because apparently that's what he was saying. Coach, put me in, right this close to his coach's face. And so, he didn't get put in. So kudos for the coach for standing up for himself. But those kinds of behaviors, if you're seeing them on your dates and in your new and beginning relationships and even your long-term relationships, if you're seeing them, that is cause for pause. That's cause for you to say, you know what, let me rethink what is really happening here. Let me consult someone else. Are they seeing this as I'm seeing it? Because in the beginning, we're seeing everything with rose-colored lenses, right? Oh, that's how he is. And he always does that. And many women do make those excuses for those behaviors. So be careful if you're making excuses for those kinds of behaviors, because they will escalate, right? So because in the beginning, we think, oh my gosh, giving me flowers every day and, buying me expensive gifts, the overdoing of it, it's called love bombing. And that is a red flag, because many narcissists use that to manipulate relationships that later become or can become more toxic. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, I had to revisit this because I saw that it had resonated with many of you ladies out there. And again, send me letters, drop comments. Tell me what it is that you want to know about, because I'm here for you. This is not a one-way street. I'm talking to you, sis. I need to know what you need to know about love, because I'm here to deliver that for you. Because I'm on a mission to help you find your heart's guardian. And I want you to be able to have the tools that you are secure when you meet that person, you know what you're looking for. You know whether you have it or not. And you know whether he is it or not. And it may not be instantaneous. I don't know. Do I believe in love at first sight? I was asked about that. I don't know. It's happened for some people. I have to say, I did not love my husband at first sight. Nope. Nope. So, for me, it wasn't love at first sight. But if it happens for you out there, sisters, I am excited for you. I am glad for you. I am, ecstatic if it happens for you. But, just be aware and alert to all of these things as well, right? So if he is showering you with gifts and presents and everything, just be alert. It's lovely, it's great. And just monitor where it's going. Is it always with any catch, or is it just happening organically, and you feel like this guy is just a gentleman who wants to please me because in our conversations, I've said that I love flowers, right? I know my cousin who recently got married, after a year of courting, this guy brings her flowers every Friday, and he continues to after the wedding. So yes, yay, he was a real good one, right? So to my cousin and her husband, yay, because that has worked for them. It was most of the flowers, so I wouldn't have said it was a red flag. It wasn't everything, gifts and this and that, and then it's, let's do this, because the manipulative person will start to now make the demands on you for things that supersedes your boundaries. And when that starts happening, now it becomes a red flag. But if a guy is a gentleman who you said once, I love flowers, and then you're getting them, that's just awesome. He is ticking one of your boxes, right? And so I want to, and then I'm looking at, is there anything else that I forgot to talk about? Family values, right? So for the serial date, and I don't know, if it's a red flag that his future aspirations, well, it would be if your future aspiration is you still want a family, or you have family, or you ask him his opinions of blended families, which you might have. And, he's like, oh no, I don't want, whatever his response is, take note, because if it's important to you, my loves, you have to know how important it is to him. If it's important to you, you have to know how important it is to him as well. If you want it, you believe it, it's everything for you, and he's telling you it's nothing, he doesn't care, that could be difficult. All right. Okay. So as we would say, where I come from, I'm waffling on. I don't want to waffle on, but I did want to, reprise this conversation about red flags and the serial daters and what to look for and how to address them. If you have any other questions or topics you'd like me to talk about, do drop me a note, and remember to decide what you want. Declare it, put it up on your wall. I want this man who does this, this, and this, right? And watch the universe deliver. Mwah. Thanks for watching Lady Love, where love and success go hand in hand. I would love to hear from you. Contact me at joankenyonwoods.com, where you can book your one-to-one discovery session and get a mini love plan so that you can find your heart's guardian. Until next time.